The Supreme Court gavelled in its new term this past week, and on this year's docket, one of the most divisive issues of our time. Here's Rita Braver on the battle over Roe v. Wade.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us.
Welcome to the front lines of the abortion conflict.
It is wrong to kill someone.
EMW Women's Surgical Center in Louisville is one of just 2 clinics in Kentucky that provides abortions. 3,000 women come here for those services each year, and every one of them must run a gauntlet of protesters.
This is not health care. This is killing human beings.
Dr. Ernest Marshall co-founded the clinic.
This practice has been running since 1980, which is approximately 41 years.
He says there's a simple reason he offers women abortions.
You can never be equal if you can't control your reproduction.
But Marshall says over the years, like many states, Kentucky has greatly limited abortion and increased restrictions. For example, a woman who wants to end her pregnancy must undergo an ultrasound with the doctor required to turn the volume up.
It's crazy that we have to turn on the heartbeat and allow the patient to hear it and tell her to cover her ears if she doesn't want to hear it. It's just very traumatizing to the patient.
But another Louisville Women's Center is also on the front lines. Beside You for Life, started by a group of local churches, tries to convince women not to have abortions.
Our mission is to share the hope and support of the gospel of Jesus Christ to those who are affected by unplanned pregnancy.
Monica Henderson is the center's director.
A lot of women choose abortion because they feel like they don't have a choice.
April Hickman has been coming here for counseling, prayer,
God is the most just judge,
and other support services since 2013. She says she arrived pregnant, jobless, and desperate, fearing her only alternative might be an abortion. What did you realize about yourself?
That I was capable. Was it hard? Yes, very hard. But through them, I am a better mom.
Hickman says Beside You helped her get baby supplies for her daughter Marley, now 8, as well as access to government daycare and housing programs.
I was still this broken person, but having her it made me do better. She's one of the amazing people that I know.
Hickman now has a job and 2 younger children. But the folks at EMW Women's Surgical Center have also made a difference in the lives of women like Courtney Bennett, a mother of 1 who last year was thrilled to learn that she and her partner were expecting a second child. Then tests revealed severe anomalies in the fetus.
We knew that this was a confirmed diagnosis that we couldn't change. There was also a high risk of not being able to carry full term.
At 15 weeks, they reluctantly determined an abortion was the only option for them. What was it like for you to have to come to this decision finally?
There was no way around that it was the hardest decision ever.
Yet she says she still remembers the shame that protesters tried to make her feel.
So I understand that another individual would not necessarily make a decision to have an abortion. What I don't understand is that that individual would want to tell me that I don't have the freedom or the right to make the best decision for me.
For the half-century since it was handed down,
in a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
The ruling in the case of Roe v. Wade that abortion is protected by the Constitution's 14th Amendment right to privacy.
Abortion is violent!
Abortion is violent!
My body, my choice!
Has been the subject of demonstration and litigation.
It is beyond divisive. It's inflammatory.
Columbia University Law School professor Carol Sanger is a noted expert on abortion law. How common is abortion in America?
1 in 4 women will have an abortion sometime in their life.
Sanger points out that most women who have abortions already have at least 1 child. But she says the Supreme Court never authorized an absolute right to abortion. What's the right that Roe versus Wade grants to women?
The right to decide to terminate a pregnancy prior to viability. It is not abortion on demand. And so viability is simply, or not so simply, the ability of a fetus to live outside its mother's womb.
There's no one moment that has ever been established where this happens.
There's no one moment in time.
And many abortion rights opponents argue that life starts
at the moment of conception. A new and unique individual.
Former Kentucky state legislator Adia Wushner is now executive director of Kentucky Right to Life. She's helped craft some of Kentucky's most stringent abortion laws, including one that will come before the U.S. Supreme Court this week on a procedural issue. So you just think that if a woman becomes pregnant, then she should have no choice but to bear the child?
We act like bearing the child is a punishment, but we need to be...
No, some women choose not to bear the child. The question here is, should a woman who doesn't want to bear a child have to bear that child?
I believe that child has a right to life. There's not a hierarchy of rights or dignity or sanctity between the mother and the child.
When you're talking about the child here, you're talking about the fetus.
Yes.
And now many experts believe that the 3 justices appointed by Donald Trump may help form a Supreme Court majority ready to overrule Roe versus Wade.
They're either getting ready to overturn it or to limit it.
Here's why. In December, the court will hear a Mississippi case that specifically argues that Roe should be overturned. Meanwhile, the justices refused to block a Texas law, now making its way through the lower courts, that allows any person to file a civil suit against anyone who helps provide most abortions. And if the court does overrule Roe versus Wade, individual states will have complete power to make abortion law.
The legality of abortion is really at issue here. It's at stake.
Heather Getnarek, an attorney with the American Civil Liberties Union of Kentucky, says her state is one of 11 that have so-called trigger laws on the books.
If the Supreme Court were to reverse Roe, Kentucky would immediately ban abortion in the state.
Does it have an exception for the health of the mother or rape or incest or something else?
No, this is a blanket across-the-board ban on abortion.
No abortions?
No abortion in Kentucky.
Adia Wushner of Kentucky Right to Life.
If you don't want your child, we will find pathways for adoption, but we're also making the choice for another life, and that's the life of the child.
But abortion rights advocates predict that while wealthy women will travel to states that allow legal abortion, poorer women may resort to pre-1973 back-alley solutions. And Dr. Ernest Marshall, who says he will have to close his clinic if Roe versus Wade is overturned, fears the worst for some of the 1 in 4 American women who choose abortion.
One of my best friend's sister was pregnant and drank turpentine. And she was in high school and it destroyed her liver and she died from that. So these things will be revisited.
Could there ever be a compromise on abortion in America? Professor Carol Sanger says it's unlikely.
But if you think abortion is murder, there's no compromise on that. And if you think that the state doesn't have the right to tell you to have another child, there's no compromise on that view.